Hi everyone, I'm here in Abundance, and today I'm just gonna make a quick introduction on the Abundance environment or the Abundance interface. If you're new, Abundance is free cloud-based CAD program. It being cloud-based is really advantageous because it allows us to share really easily, collaborate, and also access our files in many devices or from anywhere. And basically, Abundance stores your files in GitHub, and you have complete control of your files in your GitHub account. So all you need to use Abundance is a GitHub account. And if you don't have one, go ahead and create one. And if you do have one, just click login and fill in your credentials when you get prompted for it. And you'll get redirected to a project screen. So this is kind of the main Abundance browsing screen. And if you have any projects and you're in the My Projects tag, you'll be able to see all the projects that you have, and we'll be able to sort through them by like the date you created them or by the name. Also, you'll be able to filter them if you want to look for projects that are related to table or have table in the name. You can do that. In this screen, or in this pop-up, you can also go and look at other people's projects. So you can go browse all their projects and see other projects people have made and like get a little preview of them, or you can click them and see their full rendering and decide whether you want to export them or whether you want to fork them. You can also see that there's other tabs like projects, which if you like projects, they will be populated here on the screen. And we just added this Getting Started tab, which is, for all of those who are new and want a little bit more of a walkthrough. This has kind of tutorials, which are a walkthrough in the sense that they'll prompt you to do things in the interface and like create a circle, and then we'll explain kind of like step by step like the different elements of the program. And there's some user resources like a basic documentation guide, access to the forums, and videos like the one you're watching right now. So here at the top, you'll see that you can create a new project. And I'm not going to create a new project right now, but you can do this if you want. Instead, I'm going to go to my projects and I'm going to show you a project that I already have created, just so that we can get familiar with the interface. And I'm going to go and open my Dowel Center. And when I open my project, you'll see that it computes. You'll see like all of the little nodes at the top in what we call our flow canvas. And that's like all of these nodes are what's defining our geometry. And here at the bottom, you can see our project's output, which in this case is just a little Dowel Center. So differently from other CAD programs, Abundance doesn't work or is not defined by sketches, but we're defining our geometry through like a language, through different nodes. So, and the smallest elements in our program we call them atoms. So this is a circle atom, for example. And atoms usually have inputs and outputs. And in this case, the circle's input is a diameter and the circle's output is a geometry. And that way, if I define my circle to have a diameter of 0.6, that's what will be output. And I can send it to another atom and let's say move it. Or take the geometry that comes out of the move atom and let's say extrude it. So you can see here that I have a circle atom which has a defined diameter, and then I can connect that geometry by clicking on the output and dragging it to another atom. In this case, it gets dragged to an extrude, and I'm gonna disconnect it so you can see how to do it. So I'll just drag it, and I'll drag it into the geometry input of the extrude. And if you click on that extrude, you'll see what geometry it has. So there's a lot of atoms, and you can create your own atoms, but to access the most basic, or like the core atoms, you can right click, and that will open your atom menu, and you'll see that there are many subcategories in this menu. And the shapes menu, you'll find a circle, a regular polygon, a text atom, a rectangle. So if we place a rectangle, in this case here, you'll see, and here in the render view, you can scroll in and out, or orbit around your model, and you can use the orbit controls here on the bottom right, to orient yourself on the different planes. So when I place my rectangle, you see that right here, this little menu shows me the two different inputs that it has, and you're welcome to change those values here. And as I change them, or let's say like I want it to be 1 by 10, you'll see a change down in the render view. And okay, so what else do we see here on the screen? So we have two circles that have been moved and extruded, and then I want them to interact with each other, and for that I've placed this fusion atom, in which I've fused all of these geometries into one. And because I want my dowel center to be parametric, or for other people to be able to not just make, let's say, a 1/2 inch dowel center, but like a 1 inch dowel center, I've also used what we call an input atom, which is right here, in which you can change its name. So I've given it hole size, but I could also give it hole diameter as its name. And in my case, the diameter that I'm looking for is 0.5, because we have a project in inches. But I could choose that to be 0.7. And because that value is connected to my other geometries, you see that my entire project gets updated as I change that value. So if I were to give it the value of 2, you can see how much larger the output of my project gets. And one thing, and I can add as many of these as I want, right? Like if I wanted to choose how tall my dowel center was, I could add another input called height. And one thing we don't want to forget is that, right, like I can add, my rectangle is not connected to anything. So even though it's inside my project, it doesn't belong to the output. So whatever we want to be able to share or save as kind of like the outcome of our project, we want to connect to the output atom over here. So in this case, I can click on my rectangle and I see a rectangle, but if I were to click on the background, I see whatever is connected to this output. And that is also what other people will see if you share this project. So one of the advantages of using an input atom is that if I go to a run mode, which is a preview of how other people will see your project, and you can do that using this button here on the right, is that you're not the only one that can change that value, right? Other people can, and I can put 1.5, and someone who doesn't own your project and can't change your files can actually change the dimensions and export that project for whatever fits their needs. So I'm going to go back to create mode. A couple more things I just want to show you in this brief introduction is this, which is the path of your project. As your project gets more levels, this is going to be really useful for you to be able to locate yourself inside your project. If you were to click this, it will take you back to the project screen. And right here on the top right, you'll also find the sandwich menu, which has a lot of kind of like classic options, right? You can take a look at the GitHub repository, you can take a look at the README, you can share your project, save your project, which you can also do with command save, and open the settings for your project. in which you can choose what project units you have or add a project description, etc., etc. And I think I'm gonna leave it at that, but check out our other videos or other tutorials, and happy making.